Okay, good morning. Call the Ag Services Board meeting November 14th to order at 10:05. Is there anything that admin wants to add or to the agenda at all?
I have no additions to the agenda.
Anything from council? If not, have a motion to
Move as
No.
presented.
all those in favor? Thanks, Dave. Carried. Okay, minutes of the last meeting. Did anybody find anything in there that needed to be looked at? Jen did a good job. I'll have entertain a motion then to adopt those minutes.
I'll move
Move it.
to accept them as presented.
All those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, let's have a look at the agenda here. And I guess what we could do is we could go to 5.2 to start out with. We'll do that first, and then just to make sure that we get through this properly, then we'll do 6.8, 6.9. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I just, sorry, I don't mean to make this all about me, but as you guys know, our house is under reconstruction and the contractor's out here this morning, so I kind of want to meet with them.
No, that's good. That makes it so that you're available for all of these discussions. So let's start with 5.2, then maybe Dawn, go ahead.
Sure. No problem. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I did apply the comments of the board to the budget, revised it a little bit. So we did have the addition of the Green Acreages Workshop support. So that was into our producer education and workshops section. The addition of the Addis Group consultation fee. We had room in the budget to put in for the full amount that was requested, so I just put that in as the full amount, and then we can figure out the details with TOSO at a later time. But I did put the full fee in there for that, and then also we have to upgrade our Dynamite Mag locks in 2024. It's part of the new legislation that's come out, so we need to add that in, and that was a $5,000, I believe it was, to upgrade those. And then we did add in the grain bag roller as a capital item in the budget, and that's still, I don't believe council's fully reviewed all the capital. Well, they've reviewed, but I don't think they decided on the capital items at this point. But so that was basically all that was changed from what you previously saw. So I was able to trim out some things from the budget, like we have some inventory left from our chemical that we had left over from this year for the roadside spraying program, so I didn't have to order as much as previous years. Additionally, our dynamite, we have carryover for that as well, so I was able to trim the budget some too, so just to make it a little more on point. So, other than that, there wasn't too many changes. It's pretty much status quo. If anyone has any questions regarding that.
Yeah, the only comment that was had at the council meeting on the budget was the grain bag roller is, if we can rent that, is that an option?
Barhead can't rent it outside of that county.
Okay.
Same as ours. Like, our policy is it's within county boundaries, right? Same as theirs. Well, theirs is shared between other counties, but within that group, they can't rent it out. So that's, and as I mentioned to you, but it's not something that they have a high rental rate on. I don't know if everyone has a bag roller on their extractors now. I think most of them have.
Yeah, absolutely do.
Yeah, so it's just a matter of people would have to bring in their rolled bags and we'd have to unload them at our yard. So it still can be done without the bag roller.
Mr. Chair, so you say the Barhead County has a working relationship with other counties?
Yeah, so their relationship is similar to what we have with Yellowhead County and West Central Forage Association. It's that resource-based Ag Service Board grant. So they have a conservation group, basically. They're called H2C. And that's with Barhead, Westlock, Athabasca, and Thorhild, I believe,
Okay.
is the 4 counties.
So, I'm not sure what the scope is of their partnership, what all they partner on, and it's not really part of this budget discussion, but is that something that this board could look at in the future, maybe partnering with them to take advantage of things collaboratively?
With Barhead County, yes, we do collaborate with them quite a bit. We are part of our own group, though, already, so I don't know if we could do both.
Okay.
We'd have to like leave one and join the other if that were a part of their, and I don't know, with them being already the 4 counties, it might be too much for their staff to handle, because they only have a limited amount of staff that can, like they have a coordinator for that program. So, and much like we do with ours. Unfortunately, we've had some changes with West Central Forage Association, so it hasn't been as active, our group. So I'm hoping that we'll be changing that with our new and returning staff. We had a person that was off on a leave for a while, so now she's back. But their general manager just resigned.
So I did have a more specific budget question. I noticed that the actuals for 23 are, we haven't spent all of our budget in most categories.
No.
So.
We're probably going to spend the majority of it. There are some things coming up still, but there may be some that we don't fully spend the budget. I don't say I pad the budget, but I kind of go on the higher side if I can, just so in case we have something go sideways. But for the most part, I think we'll be pretty close to on budget.
I have
Yes.
no other questions.
Yeah. Thank you.
So you don't see anything that's coming up that we should be
For this year or coming next year?
next year?
No, I don't, nothing wild and crazy, no. We're pretty much on point. Like, we're gonna do I wanna look into some different workshops and stuff, so, but that will fit in within our budget already, with speaker fees, et cetera, so that's fine. And our, the recycling program is not going to add much to the budget as far as costs. We've already got the facilities available, so it's just a matter of staff time,
Oh.
which is already accounted for in the budget, so.
Okay. So, great.
So was the grain bag, a roller, was that is it in this year's budget then?
It's in the 2024 capital items budget, so
And
Yeah.
and where do we sit with the scale?
it was not added to the budget at all, because we still don't have enough detail to take to council yet. So I guess we probably should have talked about that first, but that's okay. We can talk about that when we get to that point, but yeah, it was not added into the capital budget, just because there wasn't really, we don't really have a clear plan yet going forward.
I didn't think we had a real clear plan on the grain roller either, really.
Well,
You know,
we have the
We don't know what.
recycling thing.
Yeah, we do have that,
Yeah.
but as far as, I don't see the need for a grain roller, a bag roller at the present time
Yeah,
yet. You know, there's, in our, at least where I'm at, there's not enough guys using grain bags, and I think, like you said, they already have their own roller.
yeah. And what, that being said, it is very likely it's not going to be accepted as a capital item. Just from what I heard in the discussion at the council meeting, or Well, I was watching TV on the council meeting, but whatever. I don't believe that it will be an item probably that will not be making it through the capital. There are a lot of projects that go into the capital items, so like road constructions and that kind of stuff. So those kind of take higher precedence than the bag roller, obviously. So I fully expect that will be an item that's cut.
Okay, so is there any more discussion on that? Al?
Just one other question. Can you just clarify under the revenue section, all the bracketed items, why they're bracketed?
Yes, I can. So they're bracketed because those are positive, like that's an income, versus when you get into the expenses, it's just like an accounting thing, basically, just to depict that is going to be a positive against the budget, and then the others will be like an addition, a takeaway and addition kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So we did increase the Ag Service Board grant because we did get more this year as part of the new agreement. So, and then just further to the grants, our mountain pine beetle grant is changing. It's going to be administered by a different organization, so we did have to return our money, and I think I've got this in my report too, but, and then I'll have to reapply, so, but again, that one is an in and out. We get the money, whatever we get is what we have to spend. We don't go over budget on that at all, so.
Okay, so is there anything else, Al?
If there's nothing else, I'm prepared to move that the Ag Service Board accept the proposed 2024 budget as in full.
All those in favor? That motion's carried. Thanks, Dave. Okay, so then let us move on down to 6 point.
Did you want to do 5-1 and get it out?
Yeah, we could get 5-1 out of the way. We have time, so, yeah, let's get 5-1. So, update. See, we're narrowing it down to the nitty-gritty now. So the only one that's up in the air still is it a possibility to use that CANFORS deal?
Yes, and I haven't had time to contact that gentleman. But I did find the pricing for that, the full truck scale, legal for trade scale. And it's not that much difference in price total, so the biggest thing is we wouldn't have to do the pit as we would with the other one. And so the foundation work is less, and that's why it kind of evens out in the end. And then Greg had mentioned there is a laydown yard for CANFOR on Horse Creek Road, and they have a scale in there. So I did speak with Councillor Cush, and he gave me a name for an individual to contact. So I just haven't had the time to do that yet. But there is a possibility potentially to maybe have a partnership with them for the area producers to be able to use that scale in future. So that would be even more ideal because it would cost us much less. So.
Did you have a look in there, Greg, where that scale was located, or it's good access?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just over the hill kind of thing, and it's good.
So it's out of the way, so it,
Yeah.
there may be a
The
possibility.
biggest thing is the power, I
Yeah.
think, because they just use a genset now, I guess.
Okay. Al?
I noticed on the information you provided that the internet access required is, the figure is approximately 50K. Is that internet as well as whatever software stuff goes into
Yeah,
these
so
devices?
it would be the whole system, yeah.
So would we then, if we were to partner with CANFOR, Greg, you're saying we'd need to bring in permanent power.
that's probably, I would guess, you know, it's, because you can't have a gen sit there all year round.
Sure.
You'd have to have somebody there all the time.
Okay. But we wouldn't need the user pay and the internet access, et cetera?
No, well, the costs are kind of yet to be determined with that. We don't
Sure.
really know, right,
Okay.
what the deal might be, if it is even a possibility, but yeah, that would, likely the power, cost of bringing the power in would be number one, and then if we choose, I don't know if they would require user pay if we're in a partnership, so we'd have to
Yeah,
look
'cause
into
it's,
that.
the power line runs right by there, so it would be a matter of probably a couple of poles.
Yeah.
And so it would be that kind of normal link up.
Yeah.
And they may be amenable to that too, so.
Are you sure that it's actually like permanent? It's just not like a temporary scale?
That's, yeah,
Cause like my friend set those up for Canfor for like 40 years, and usually they, like, their certification only lasts like 3-4 weeks max. Cause the ground moves and then it's whacked and they gotta get them to recertified, and then they haul them out as soon as they are done scaling at that yard. Like they don't even own them in a lot of cases, like they're rented.
Well, it's been there for probably 5 years now,
Oh, okay.
or more. However many
It
years
is
they've had
actually
it.
in a good location. It's good
Well,
hard
it's
ground,
right on the,
Horse Creek
yeah,
Road. So it might be something that even if they were to move away from it, we could start budgeting for it and just keep it there.
yeah.
That's a good point, Ryan, because I don't know much about scales, but I know that.
I just know that they like usually set up these temporary scales
Yeah.
wherever they're hauling, and they just rent them from the
From the companies.
and then they have to get them certified like very regularly because they don't have concrete pads under them, so they move and walk around.
Okay,
So it sounds like Don's gonna make contact and come back
Yeah.
to us with a report.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, so those details will come out in a conversation with the gentleman, so, yeah.
good.
I'll move that we accept it for information.
All those in favor? Carried. Okay. Let's go down to 6.8. Provincial Ag Service Board Conference discussion. Dawn, we have, how many members that are confirmed that are gonna go?
Nobody yet,
Nobody yet?
because I just got this information last week.
Okay.
So, I did attach the draft agenda. I mean, it's
Yeah.
probably pretty close to being the final agenda, but, so you could take a look at that, and, so yeah, it starts on the 22nd, the evening of the 22nd, or afternoon of the 22nd, and then we've got the 2 full days of, presentations and the resolution sections. And then we're back on the Thursday. Well, the ending ends on Wednesday evening with the banquet, and then Thursday will be a travel day back.
Al?
So, thanks again to the board for moving this item and 6.9 up. When I went through my package on the weekend, I looked at the travel options, and not to put 6.9 ahead of 6.8, but they're kind of intertwined. I felt that last year's conference was really beneficial to the entire board. You know, the conference itself was good, and then just having an opportunity to get to know one another really helps pull a board together. When I look at this conference, it looks very similar. It's in a different part of the province, and we're gonna have an understanding then of those unique needs and challenges they have. But the travel is just, for me, it's prohibitive. I'm not driving in the middle of January all the way to Lethbridge and back. I know there are those that have no problem with that, but all the years I spent carting kids around in minor hockey, the chance for bad weather at that time of the year is more than a risk that I want to take. So what I was going to suggest to this group was that, first of all, I was wondering how many people would be uncomfortable with flying. Some people don't like to fly. Is there anybody here that doesn't want to fly? If that was an option. So if that isn't an obstacle, then I had suggested to Peter, I'd given him a call, and I'd like to take this to council and give council an opportunity to look and weigh the travel risks involved with sending all of us on the road versus spending a little bit more money one time and flying us down there. When you do the accounting per person, it doesn't work out to that much more money. And I think if you're going to try and quantify risk, that's a pretty risky time to be traveling that far.
I just want to kind of add to what Al said. Number one, if you, on the procedures in travel, it says economical and logical. And I think the logic part is kind of, just because it's the most cost effective doesn't mean it's logical. And the other thing was, I got to know a lot of people in January when I went around and networked. Everybody flew to Lethbridge. People from Cochrane flew to Lethbridge. People from Red Deer, or Grand Prairie rather. People from Red Deer flew there. And I think we kind of got to be looking around at what other ASBs are doing and what they find is logical as well. Like, they weren't getting people to drive from Red Deer to Grand Prairie. They flew them, so.
Yeah. So I know I'm jumping ahead again. I apologize for that, but I just, with respect to 6-9, I'd like to, I guess when we get there on the agenda, make that motion that we refer this item to council for discussion at our next council meeting and come back to Dawn with an answer, and then she can fan that out. But I'm all over the map on this agenda, and I apologize, so.
No, I think that those two items kind of morph into each other, and it's a good discussion, and I tend to agree with both Councilor Dean and Ryan that first of all, the plan, if we plan for that now, we'll probably hit the flight times that we need to be able to be at that conference, to be there and leave there at the proper times. I think that, we should kind of have a poll of who's going to attend that conference. And that way we can take a concrete number to council. Does that make sense?
Sure, but so I'll go, but I'm not driving.
Yeah.
I would go.
Yeah, so there's.
So Linda, are you like, Alan, are you conditional? You're conditional to your mode of travel, or you're just going?
I don't do the driving.
So you're just,
with Dawn.
okay.
And I would prefer to fly as well, just because it takes a day and a half away from that time.
Your flight time is gonna be about the same, honestly.
Yeah.
When I check the flights, it still takes
Takes
most
the
of the
same
day
amount,
to get
so-
there.
Oh yeah, you're flying all day.
Yeah.
Time you
Try
drive into
over.
the
Time you
city.
drive, yeah.
Yeah,
It just makes it a lot safer.
I'll
Planes can crash too.
I'll probably go, but I don't know if I'll fly or drive. I haven't decided
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
I'm with I'll fly or drive, but I prefer to fly. I feel that once you get south of Calgary on that 2-lane, it's a little different story than driving Highway 2. They don't really maintain that highway that well. And I've drove it lots in the winter, so.
Dave, what are your thoughts?
I guess a risk mitigation, I think flying would be better. The other thing we could also take a look at if everybody's planning on going, because you're going to have from the airport parking charges and everything else. Maybe we look at the cost of a small bus. We just a couple pickup spots or whatever, kind of around the along our route where everybody can kind of gather together, and it might save cost by traveling from here to Edmonton. Plus, like I said, parking when we get there for the time that you're down there and come back. I do agree with trying to mitigate the risk of winter driving for that far down.
Okay, thanks, Dave. So we've got 6.8, at least we've covered, who's thinking of going, so we kind of have a number there, Don, if that works for you. I think we need to approve 6.8 as who's going to attend. So we'll need more.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Okay, great. Okay, all those in favor of that motion? Thanks, Dave. It's carried. And now I think we'll make that motion for 6.9. Now we'll take that to council.
Sure, I move that the Ag Services Board appeal to council to review the travel options and approve the option of flying.
All those in favor of that motion? Yeah, that's carried. Okay, so now we can go back to our first agriculture plastics update. $5.3.
So, pardon me, basically, just further to the discussion that we had with Davin Johnson from Clean Farms, we had talked about the bale, twine, and the grain bag collection as an additional item to the recycling program. We do still have our pesticide container site already as an approved site, so that's would mean that we already have the site available. And we've got the sea-can available for the bale twine to keep it out of the sun. However, when I spoke to Davin, he said that it doesn't necessarily have to be out of the sun because we're not storing it for a long time. So the breakdown of that plastic wouldn't really, the UV breakdown wouldn't be.
That doesn't break down anyhow.
Well, it was more the plastic bags
Yeah.
that they're going to be in was what he was saying, but it wouldn't be stored that long. We would have it being picked up a couple of times a year probably, so it really wouldn't have to go into the sea can. So, like I mentioned, I did put the grain bag roller on the budget. As I also indicated, likely that is not going to go through. So we could still collect the bagged bale twine as well as the rolled grain bags at our facility. We would have an option we would have some piece of equipment would be available to unload those bags if people were interested. The only thing is we have to have an approved motion of council to enter into this agreement with Clean Farms. So I would need a motion from the board to go to council to enter into that agreement. Our motion was not worded that way last time, so that's why we brought it back.
Okay, is there any more discussion on that item? No? So what you're looking for is just for a motion to take this to council?
To forward to council to enter into the agreement, yeah.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, I'll move that we take it to council to see if we can enter an agreement with Clean Farms. I'd also like to say that I think we need to keep the grain bag roller on our minds too, you know, in case for future. You know, I don't think it's a need right now, but I think maybe in the future for sure.
Yeah, I think you're right, Greg, because I don't think we have enough information yet how many people actually in the county
Yeah.
would use that. But
We'd have to
I think
find
that's
out.
something we should pursue.
Yeah, once we launch the program, we'll know how many people are actually rolling their bags
Yeah.
or people are looking for a bag roller, basically. So I think that'll be indicative too.
Did you say how many people use Barheads? Do you remember what they said?
He's, when I talked to Kyle, it was very few
Yeah,
actually
that's
use
what I
it.
thought.
Between all the counties, I think he said maybe half a dozen rentals. So it's not being used to its full extent.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor. Is there any more discussion? If not, call the question. All those in favor? Dave disappeared.
He had to step out for a doctor's appointment, so he's left the meeting.
So it's carried anyway. All right. Let us go to the new business. So that would be the selection of vice chairperson for 2024. And so we'll open the floor for that. I believe, Greg, you were vice chair
Mhm.
the last round.
Yeah.
So what's the wish of the board?
I'll make a motion or nominate Ryan.
I'll accept.
Are there any more nominations? Do I have to call nominations 3 times for this too, Jen, or?
I'll move nominations ceased.
Okay.
Pretty sure I heard it 3 times.
Yeah. Okay.
Or until someone moves the nomination cease.
Thank you for that. So, good, great. That's good to see Ryan. Ryan is now our new vice chair.
I think we'll still need a motion that Ryan, to appoint Ryan.
Yeah, we'll still have to have that motion.
I'll make that motion.
Linda,
Ryan be the vice chair for 2024.
all those in favor?
Sorry.
That motion's carried.
Thanks, Al.
Okay, moving on then, the third quarter VSI report. That's a good one for Don once again.
So we have our third quarter claims coming in at $2,701. So our total claims thus far is $15,270. As you can see in the rationale there, and so our budget is right on point. We'll be okay for this year. We may have a little bit extra over and above what we've contributed, so we still have our entire fourth quarter to come in though, and as well as our admin fees. So, but I'm not concerned about us going over budget on this because we did contribute a little bit higher amount this year, because last year we were pretty close to going over.
Yeah.
So I think we'll be okay. And you can see the usage there on page 23 as well.
Question. Have we ever exhausted this and then producers were left with no assistance?
No. We haven't. We came very close last year in 2022, but we were still a couple of $1,000s available yet. So
Okay, and
it's okay.
further to that, like if we were in a situation like that, we could go to council and ask for additional funds.
We could, I can't remember how the policy is written. It's kind of if we have to, we can go back to the producers and say, yeah, no, we're not doing it anymore. But I think my first instinct would be going to council and saying, can we get some more money? Or find it within our budget to move money around.
Sure. Okay.
So has this been traditionally increasing, like with the inflation and stuff like that? So,
Well, the vet fees increase,
Yeah.
right? So we did increase our contribution because we were at, I think, 30% to start, and we upped it to 50. So that made it a little more costly that way. But since we've gone with the 50 and it's been several years, it still has been increasing in cost, mainly due to the vet fees. Like it's obviously they have to charge more because they've got to spend more for gas and for supplies and that kind of thing too. So, but yeah, that's where we've gone up.
okay. So is there anything else that you wanna? Okay, we'll have a motion to. Al?
I'd move that the Ag Service Board accept the BSI third quarter report as in full.
All those in favor? That's carried. Okay, 6.3. This is the annual general meeting, BSI services. Wasn't Peace River last year, right?
Actually, it's typically in Peace River.
Oh, that's where they always have it.
Yeah. Yes. And I believe Councillor William attended via Zoom for this meeting, but he was unable to be at this meeting now, so we'll have to get an update at a later date. There were no changes to our contributions to VSI at that time either. So,
Al?
Could I make a motion to defer this item until a future meeting when Councillor Williams can make a report?
Yeah, we can do that. Okay, a motion by Counselor Dean to table this till, let's possibly make it the next meeting. Does that work? Huh?
Yep.
And then Counselor Williams can make a report on that. All those in favor of the motion? Motion's carried. Okay, let's go to 6.4, the Ag Bursary. Go ahead, Dawn.
So we did advertise for the Ag Bursary. It's in the amount of $500. And we had one individual apply. And you can see his, excuse me, his, ooh, I lost it. His application is attached there on page 57. And so the plans for his future education includes agricultural sciences at the U of A and then attending veterinary school as well at the U of C.
Well, that's great. We have someone that wants to be a large animal veterinarian in rural Alberta. Great.
So I believe he fits our criteria pretty much to a T. So
How do we advertise this, Dawn?
we put it on our webpage. It was in the Express as well.
Okay.
Did we put it in the weeklies, Jen?
I don't think so.
I don't think we put it in the weeklies, but
Okay.
definitely on the Express and our Facebook page and the county website as well.
I think this is great that we have a local person that wants to get into something that we actually need people involved in, so. Al?
I'd move that the Ag Service Board direct administration to contact a successful applicant for the 2023 agricultural bursary.
Good. Any discussion? Not? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay. Now we move on to the Ag Services Supper Entertainment. Always a good one for discussion.
So there was an additional one that the lady from the Callback Entertainment sent me, and that's Brittany Lysing. And you have a handout there with her bio and picture available as well. So all of these acts that are in your package are available and are within our budget. So David Jukebox Lee is kind of something we've not done before. It's kind of fun because he kind of does a little bit of a music trivia, kind of a game with the audience. So that might be kind of fun. Corey Mack is a comedian. We've not had her before. Jeb Fink, was here previously in 2017. And then the Atomic Improv, another act that we haven't really had in previous, like that style. And then Brittany is also a comedian, so try to kind of come up with some different genres, I guess you could say, different types of acts.
So if I got to make all the rules out of all these, I really like improv, but I don't know how the board feels about that.
Let's go around the table.
I think they're all good possibilities. It's tough to narrow it down.
Yeah, I think, you know, we can, I kind of have to, I like improv as well, and I think it's always, that engages the audience a lot, which is something that is kind of interesting all the time, so. What do you think, Ryan?
I don't know. The Jukebox League guy looks like he'd kind of be entertaining. Kind of seems like it would be like a show that my grandparents would go to, and that seems to be our main demographic.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
That's true. How are we gonna change that? Drag the kids over?
Yeah.
Greg? What are your thoughts?
Well, my first thought was what Ryan, that jukebox guy. But then when Al said that improv, and yeah, I do like that too, so guess I'm between those two. If I was picking, I think. But like Ryan said, it's the people that we're catering to is not 25-year-olds.
Yeah. So,
So, but maybe they adopt to whoever the crowd is, what the crowd is. So I don't know.
And I think they would.
Yeah.
Like if any comedian, basically, if they're worth their weight in salt or whatever you want to say, it will adjust to the audience at hand, right? They do ask a lot of questions before, like the
To
lady
to
that's,
see-
yeah, she asked like,
see
what's
what-
our demographic, how many
Yeah.
people? And I always say, it's got to be clean, because I don't want somebody up there F-bombing and doing that kind of stuff, because it will offend our audience. We don't want that, for sure, so. And I've told them in the past, it goes from grandma to babies, because we do have a wide variety of people coming, so. But we've definitely not done anything like the Atomic Improv before. We've had musical acts, we've had comedians, we've had magicians. We've not done any hypnotists, and we're not doing any hypnotists. No, because I know you guys, and you'll make me go up there, and that's not happening.
We would never do that.
No, I know. Your
What-
fingers are
what
crossed
does-
behind your back, yeah.
what does the jukebox dude do?
So he does, like I said, kind of a game show sort of thing, I guess you could say, to start with, and then he would basically just play music he's got some of his own music. Is like he himself will do the actual music trivia part, and then afterwards for the last, he would stay and just play music, basically, kind of like DJing, sort of. So, yeah, the music trivia part probably will be fun. That's for the first hour, and then he'll just stay behind, like I said, and just play music, pre-recorded music, obviously.
Performs for an hour.
He would do the trivia for an hour, yeah. 50 minutes to an hour, something
Sure.
like that, yeah.
Are the Atomic Improv close to an hour?
Yes, they'll all be about the same, 45 to an hour. Typically is what they,
'Cause I did hear some complaints last year that it wasn't long enough.
Really?
he was really good though.
Yeah, he was.
You know, music is pretty universal. Improv, like again, I said, if I could make all the rules right. My wife and I just attended the one that was put on by the Arts Council here in town, and it's not for everybody, right? So whereas music generally appeals to everybody, so maybe that jukebox guy is the more logical choice.
Yeah, so I think we've got it narrowed down to those two. And, you know, I'm kind of,
Let Dawn make the decision.
yeah, I like the improv, but music is like, it's more universal probably. So, what is the wish of what do we want Dawn to put her finger on?
So within, just reading in the improv bio, they do say it's fast, funny, and tailored to the crowd. So, and it's always a hit.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's their promotional jab, right? But
Yeah.
Well, typically they ask for improv suggestions from the crowd. They get,
Yeah.
they ask the crowd for things, and then they bring the crowd up and put them into the acts and make fun of them, and it's usually pretty funny.
Well, maybe we should just give that a try and let the impersonator die.
What do you think, your grandma and grandpa?
They might just fall asleep either way. So.
I'm pretty sure Mabel watches these YouTubes from time to time.
She's pretty busy.
So what's the thought here? Let's narrow this one down.
Well, if everybody's ambivalent, I'll move that we direct administration to hire the Atomic Improv.
Any more discussion on that? If not, all those in favor? Good, thanks, guys. Good discussion.
can we just go back one little minute?
Okay.
So we had just kind of picked March 8th, kind of out of the air. That's kind of in line with where we were last year for the date. Is that still good with everyone to have it about that time?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
When is our RMA? Any clue?
Just going into.
You might want to check that,
Yeah,
just because it could conflict with
it would be this Friday.
Yeah, that's right, so that it won't conflict with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure March 8th is the Friday.
And where is it being held this time?
So we haven't been to Anselmo for a while, so we thought Anselmo would be a good choice.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it looks like we're good there.
Bring your skates, we could have a hockey game too.
Yeah, sure. Shinny out on the ice.
I'll win that.
Okay, just as long as that date was okay with everybody, I wanted to check and make sure it wasn't gonna conflict with other calendars, so.
Spring training's up.
Pardon?
Spring training's up. I'll probably be there,
Okay.
maybe.
Okay, that was
So
it.
that looks good.
Okay.
So we have the date set, did we have that motion was carried, was it not?
I don't think so.
No?
Not for the actual, the actual motion was that direct myself to proceed with hiring the entertainment and booking the hall as
Okay.
discussed. So,
Okay, so all those in favor of that motion then?
Which
Agreed.
motion?
The motion that
so the,
she's directed to hire.
I believe the motion
Okay.
that Councillor
RFD,
Dean
right,
made.
Do we still need a motion for the date?
Yeah.
Well, if we do, Jen, can you read back Councillor Dean's motion, please?
He has, that he motioned that to hire Atomic Improv as entertainment for the supper.
So if we just, could we just add the
Yeah.
booking the hall as discussed?
Yeah.
And that'd be in Salmo.
It's available at Salmo?
Sure.
Okay.
We haven't booked it yet, but sure.
Okay, so all in favor of that motion? Okay, now we have it, it's carried, thank you. Okay, so let's move on to 6.6. That's the drought livestock assistance program. Okay, Dawn.
So this is a program that's come out in response to the drought of earlier in the year and the high temperatures. And it is a program that's available, but our county is not in part of that. So we've got some letters that were submitted to the Minister of Agriculture and Irrigation from the MD of Greenview, as well as Lac-Saint-Anne County. And then I've also put the map on of the eligible areas that's found on page 64. So basically the entire middle section of the province is not included in that program. So and then the concern was that these areas are exempt, even though there were other circumstances in this area that led to problems for some producers.
Yeah, it's becoming more and more difficult to say that, to declare a disaster under the rules because everything's so spotty.
Yes, yeah.
So these are, so what they're looking for here is just support in these letters.
Well, they're looking for an awareness. I don't know if we would, we can provide support in the form of a letter,
Yeah.
if that's what the board chooses, or you can accept its information, either one. But that's where their concerns are because of the other circumstances that were happening in the area with, like the flooding, the forest fires, that kind of stuff. We had our own issues to deal with, maybe not drought, what this program is designed for, but we still have people that are, their hay was under water for a while and, or in other areas. Unfortunately for our county, we were not under, the wildfire didn't impact us as much, but there are other municipalities where it was a huge impact, right? So,
Okay, so is there any discussion that anyone wants to have on this? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to accept this as information. Linda?
I'll move this as information.
Good luck.
Okay, that brings us down to the Ag Service Board resolutions. Report card file.
so we discussed these previously, and this is, and then we sent the comments into the provincial committee. And so this is what the provincial committee has come back with as far as their report card, what they've, after receiving all that feedback from Ag Service Boards, this is their final report, I guess you could say, for these, the resolutions that were put forth at the 2023 provincial conference. So on page 70 is kind of like a synopsis of what the grade is for each of those resolutions going forward. So there are several that are incomplete, and they'll be, they would have sent back the information to get more information from the ministries or whichever departments needed to be contacted. So that's where the incomplete comes in, and except as in principle is they were pretty well satisfied with that response that they received. So, but they would be following up on those incomplete ones to get more details, more of a response, more of a commitment, I guess.
So what happens when they fall off? Do they, like, you know, when they haven't been dealt with, do they get reintroduced, or does?
So they keep them on the books for a few, like a number of years. I can't remember what the years are, but they will follow up during that time. If they haven't got anything back, eventually they basically just get deleted. And then if somebody has the appetite to bring it forward again, we can, the resolution can come forth again after it's basically fallen off the books, like you said. So, but they do keep them active for several years, and then with that, they are doing the continuous follow-up through that process.
You know, I had a conversation with Paul McLaughlin of, he's president of the RMA, about if we as an Ag Service Board want to introduce a resolution. One of the things that we talked at length about was trying to figure out some of the things we need to regionalize in the ag value-added industry.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that it would serve a purpose if we as a council, and I think this was a directive that came from economic development, was that we look at a task force to have a better understanding of some of the things that would be really positive to introduce as initiatives into the different regions. What he said was if we go through that process, he said push it through RMA as well, not just at the Ag Service Board level.
Mhm.
Because then he says you get the attention twice from two different. So that was one of the conversations, and another one was how do we present that? So I talked to Ashton, our regional president of the regional RMA group, and she actually does a lot of writing as far as resolutions go. So that's a resource that we could actually use to, promote some of this regional value added in agriculture. So that's just to add on to this conversation. Maybe we could start to pursue some of that a little.
Yeah, I would definitely say let's keep it going to the Ag Service Board provincial level.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, then there's not much point of having that Ag Service Board provincial
Yeah.
level at all, right? If we're just gonna go everything through the RMA.
Yeah, no,
But
that's
definitely,
exactly what he said.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he said. He said, make sure that you put it through at the Ag Service Board level, and then he says, the next go around you present it. He said, then we just reinforce it.
Right, yeah.
That's what he.
Because a lot of the same people are going to both
Yep.
conferences,
Yeah.
but there are differences. So that's kind of where you get that extra input too, which is great. So, yeah, for sure.
Okay, so is there anything else there that you wanna discuss, or move on? If so, I'll entertain a motion to accept that as information.
I'll move that Ag Service Board accept as information on our report card.
Okay, any more discussion on that item? Not, all those in favor?
We still have quorum with 4?
Yep. Okay, just have noted that Councillor Dean leaves at 11:04. Thanks a lot, Al.
Yeah, thanks, see you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let us have, yeah, let's- I guess we're into reports now. So we need to have a report from our Ag Service Manager.
Okay. So, my report there is in front of you. We've finally got our harvesting completed for this year, which is good. We had a little bit of challenges, but overall pretty good, I think. Club root surveying is done. We did a total of 63 fields and 7 were identified as infested. Of those, 3 were new fields infested and 2 of which were new landowners. So I did receive the results back from the lab, and we'll be sending out notifications to those landowners this week.
That's quite a bit better than normal, isn't it?
There's been less. Yes. I actually am in the process of gathering information for the University of Alberta. They're wanting to do kind of a modeling program based on the results that we've seen from our survey.
Yeah.
So I'm gathering all that information right now, and yes, this 7 is the lowest that we've had for a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well, because I didn't grow any.
probably. Yeah. We did, so it's usually right around 60 to 70 fields that we've been surveying though. So we're still at about the same level there, but just a little less of an
Less
infestation.
infested.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, so I don't know if that is lending to the resistant varieties that are out.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
if
hard
it
to
does,
say.
'cause whenever we had club root, it was all club root resistant
And it's still,
canola.
I mean, it's not perfect, of course, the club root resistant varieties, but we're hoping it'll be less.
Looks like it is, so.
Yeah, so. We had.
Does
sorry?
weather have an effect on that, or is it just?
Definitely, moisture conditions lend to higher infestations, which it surprises me because this year was so wet.
Yeah.
I would have thought we would have had more, but no. But typically, like damper conditions do lend to higher production of the clubroot spores and higher mobility of those spores in the soil as well. So we had our regional conference, which I think pretty much everyone was there. A lot of good information, I think, was on the agenda. I really did enjoy the new funding options with this SCAP program, as well as the entrepreneurial partnerships that they were doing with Leduc County. That was really interesting. So, and like I mentioned, I am waiting on notification regarding the mountain pine beetle grant. I got an email last week from an individual from the Forest Resource Improvement, FRIA, for gosh sakes. I got an email from them, and they are hoping to have the information out this week, mid-November, and then they'll leave it open for several weeks for application. So the turnaround is not as quick as they had hoped it would be, but it is still happening. So, and as I mentioned, we did have to return the excess funds that we had held in a deferred revenue here in our accounts. So that totaled $18,027.10. And yeah, once I get that information from FRIA, I will do our application for that grant for next year. Our Ag Chronicles final draft actually came in on Friday, so I haven't had a chance to look at it, but it is looking really good. We did enlist the assistance of a design company to do the final layout of the magazine. And it looks really good. It looks like a magazine, basically. So the last bits that they're just doing is like all the photographs and photo credits. So we should see that coming forth, I would believe, in the next couple of days. So, and then we're going to do a few print copies, and the majority of them will be electronic copies of that document. So that will be done finally. I've done a few safety courses so far this year, or in the last couple of months, doing some safety training for the management level, and James and I will be doing our in-service training at the beginning of December. We'll be down in Calgary. Oh, shoot.
Cranberry?
No, we're going to be in Calgary. I missed that. We'll be going to Calgary. And maybe I wanted to go back to Grand Prairie, but we'll be in Calgary for that, for the first week of December. And our Bows and Bows workshop will be on December 9th. We've changed the format a little bit this year. Instead of doing a 2-day in 2 different places, we've got one place, 1 day, 2 times. So, so far we've got about 13 people registered, and I've got some emails over the weekend that there are more people interested. So we'll be getting a few more coming forward on that. So, and then finally, I've been working on the budget for 2024 to make sure it's ready for council's review. And like I said, our budget is mainly complete to this point. We'll be meeting with council, first meeting on the 23rd of November, I believe it is, where we do our presentations departmentally. So. And that's it.
Okay.
I move that the board accept Dawn's Ag Service Manager's report as read for information.
All those in favor? That's carried. Okay. The only thing that I have an interesting discussion I had with Keith Lehman, provincial vet, after that, because they were talking about having a difficulty finding a place when they depopulate. There's no real plan, so I sat and talked with him for about half an hour on the waste plant up here and having that the ability to do bio waste. He said that it sounds like they're building a facility in Forestburg.
Oh.
And and so it's just kind of interesting that those silos, that there's that big silo the government doesn't talk about the resources available, because that would be a real interesting place for, so I put that in the hands of the economic development folks in Swan Hills to pursue a little bit with the government, because nobody understood that that plant's working at 30% capacity, so if we did have a depopulation, it would be a really good spot for some of that stuff to go.
They mostly just use the Riley dump.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he said. He said it's just not acceptable.
They're out there shoveling the blood up in these fields because they're so worried about contamination, and then they just go up to the dump and unload the truck and leave.
Yep.
And they don't care at all after that.
So it might be something that we can, just keep in the back of our minds to see whether, because what I did ask him to do was to, contact the folks and have a conversation about what would be required for us to be able to support that it goes there. So, okay. So, we are down to the last item on our agenda. And is there anything that anyone wanted to talk about in the information items? Or? If not, I have a motion to accept that information package as circulated.
I'll make a motion to accept as circulated.
Okay, all those in favor? That is carried. So we really only have one more motion.
I'll make that motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay. All those in favor? Carried. Good, thank you very much, guys. Was, I think we got where we wanted to go. So with this, where do they take this plastic? And where is the main